Hmm, 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 hmm. Hey, oh, hey, yo, water, ice, salt, hey, what? Shit. Hello, my accomplices. Hello again. Hello. Oh, come back. Hello again. Hello again. Jacob Collier introduced all of us to the concept of Djesse, a 4-album length project that explores acoustic space. Djesse has been one hell of an experience, and I enjoy how it works thus far. When I organize music in a project, I personally think in a different way. And so this isn't necessarily a criticism of the way that Jacob Collier is putting Djesse together. This is instead my personal take on how Djesse would be organized if I were to do it. Of course, this should be noted that I am not Jacob Collier, and so this is just, think of this as like a Djesse, think of this like a Djesse fan fiction. Also, I've tagged Rohan, so I know that you're watching the TikTok version of this. You may be watching the video. I'm going to leave the Spotify playlist in the comments of the TikTok, and I'm going to ask for your opinion on it because I know that you listen to Djesse, and I know that you're the only mutual that I can remember that has also heard of Djesse. So you're like rent free. How? Anyways, let's move on and define a couple things. The first thing that I want to clarify with this video is that it is not going to be up to date. This video is coming out on November 17th, which means that the first 3 volumes of Djesse are out. Which means when Djesse Volume 4 comes out, at some point, eventually, I will be reorganizing Djesse once more. But so far, I'm going to be organizing Djesse with the 3 volumes that I have. That's currently 37 tracks, though I'm going to keep the interlude tracks together, so it's really... I honestly have no idea. I don't know what counts as an interlude track anymore. I'm just going to keep up with that number in a second. So Djesse is this 4-album project that explores acoustic space, with Volume 1 being grand, general, big, mostly occupying orchestral space. Volume 2 being intimate, closer, coming in, mostly occupying acoustic space. Like, acoustic as in, like, stringed instruments giving you a hug and giving you a kiss on the cheek and sending you to bed at night. Volume 3 is supposed to be negative space, inside, noises in their most absolute. Pop music, electronic dance music, funk, Sophie, Sophie, you know. I think personally, the story of Djesse kind of is all over the place. While each song fits the acoustic aesthetic of each album, the songs in and of themselves kind of achieve multiple different things at once. It's like within each universe, you're jumping around in the solar system, you know? I'm going to try and preserve the acoustic storytelling of the Djesse volumes while also working towards making a more cohesive jump between my personal aesthetics. So, what are my personal aesthetics? Glad you asked. Okay, so when it comes to storytelling, I think that a song attempts to do at least one of 3 things. These 3 things are based off of the 3 spheres of music, and there's a video essay by Sideways that explains these 3 spheres more in an academic sense. But since then, I've been using these 3 spheres to organize my music. The first sphere is the art sphere, and for me, art music is music that attempts to achieve some technical expression that goes above and beyond, something that is more artistic than anything else. Songs like Once You, songs like Moon River, freaking, I was so confused about Moon River in Volume 2 because it didn't quite fit the acoustic, calm vibe of Volume 2. It was just this weird, fucking epic of a cappella, and it went on for 8.5 minutes, which, when it's in Volume 2, comes completely out of nowhere because it comes right after Make Me Cry, which is like a single, right? Which is like the single of the album, the first single of the album. And so it threw me off on first listen, and when I saw the Moon River video on its own, I kind of realized, no, this is more of an art song. This is something that's attempting to achieve its own thing within the Djesse concept. It's like its own little moment in Djesse, rather than just attempting to cohesively glide along with Djesse. And so I put it in the art section. The second sphere pertains to pop. Pop has a lot of different definitions. Personally, for me, pop is music that is easily digestible. Something that has an idea, comes in, and displays it in pretty easy to understand terms. Songs like Make Me Cry in Volume 2. Make Me Cry displays the feeling of Djesse Volume 2. It's pretty easily structured. It's a simple singer-songwriter song. It's pretty easy to wrap your head around. Now, the third section is folk music, which of course is what Volume 2 was supposed to be. Some of the songs that I had for the pop section also fit in the folk section, and I only put them in the pop section because they were more easily digestible as pop than they would be as folk. Folk music being more personal and cultural, pop music being more easily digestible and general. Make Me Cry feels more like a pop song than a folk song, but it could be both. If I had the opportunity, I'd probably put a lot of Volume 2 songs both in the pop and folk section, unless it was something like Moon River, in which case Moon River is a beast on its own that I have praises and criticisms on my own. Look, all I'm gonna say is that the first 2 minutes of the song, just didn't need to happen. The floating heads thing was amazing, and then it fell right into the entire melody of the song for 2 minutes. And then he just did this contrary motion thing and just went into a completely different key and redid the entire song again. So why was Moon River this 8-minute thing when it could have just been the 6-minute thing? There were a good 2 minutes of music where nothing was actually being definitively reharmonized, but instead just hummed. Literally the only criticism I have of Djesse. Moon River just has 2 minutes of fluff, and that's the only problem that I have with it. And that's just one song out of 37. So it's really good. It is really good. So, with all of the definitions out of the way, here is my definitive reorganization of Djesse. We start off with the beginning 3 tracks, Home Is, Overture, and With the Love of My Heart. Then we go to Ocean Wide, Canyon Deep, Once You, Intro, Sky Above, and Moon River, which are these 3 are just their own thing. Butterflies, Light It Up on Me, and To Sleep. Then we move to the pop songs, Djesse, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, All Night Long, Make Me Cry, Feel, It Don't Matter, Here Comes the Sun, Do You Feel Love, ? And then the outro to Volume 2. Then we move to Volume 3, which it's just a pop album at this point. Clarity, Count the People, In My Bones, Time Alone with You, All I Need, Into Deep, Sleeping on My Dreams, Running Out of Love. And then we move to the acoustic stuff. Everlasting Motion, Bakumbe, I Heard You Singing, Dun Dun Baba, which that's just an interlude. Nabaluyo, so I should have wrote those 2 on the same line. Then we have Anwat and Lua, and with all of that reorganized, we finish off with Time to Rest Your Weary Head. And that is the official reorganization. So let's talk about it. Oh, you thought I was going to grab the... Okay, so first thing I'm going to talk about are the interlude tracks. Because depending on who you're talking to, Djesse either has 5 interludes or 7. This is because of Djesse Volume 3. I don't know whether I should consider Butterflies or Light It Up on Me as full interludes. They're both pretty much their own thing. They don't lead into other songs. Butterflies has its own lyrics. It's like a fully fledged song that just happens to be 2 minutes, as opposed to an interlude like Anwat, which pretty smoothly led into Lua, or the intro and outro tracks for Volume 2 and Volume 3, which pretty much just, this is the intro track and this is the outro track, right? To a certain extent, people could argue that To Sleep would also be an interlude track, because it could be the outro of Volume 3 leading into the intro of Volume 4. That is a discussion that I'm going to leave up to y'all, whether you consider certain songs to be interludes or not. With the interludes themselves, I tried to preserve the order of them. Which leads me to thing number 2. I still wanted to preserve the order of the albums with the sections that I put them in. And that was because I still appreciated the acoustic collapse idea, the whole outward going in thing. I just, with the way that you're hearing it now, it goes out in, out in, out in. The last thing that I wanted to talk about were some of the story elements that were a lot closer in proximity with my reorganization. Like, something pretty notable is at the end, after Running Out of Love, we move into the folk section, which opens with Everlasting Motion, which was kind of a toss-up for me. I thought I was going to put it in the art section, but then I realized that Nebuluyo has callbacks to Everlasting Motion, and I put it in the folk section. Everlasting Motion was just teetering between being an art song and a folk song, so I decided to put it in the folk section. There are a couple of other interesting story elements that were connected here too, like Moon River and Light It Up On Me are literally one song apart. And if y'all remember Light It Up On Me, the end of Light It Up On Me is like the beginning of Moon River, but in reverse. So that is a pretty cool connection that just ended up together because they were two art songs that just kind of ended up in the same place. I found that really fascinating. Because I preserved the order of the albums within the sections, you could still feel more of the cohesive, normal part of the storytelling that Jacob tried to organize in the first place. But I personally like my organization. Once again, this is not a criticism. I absolutely love Djesse. This was just my own little analysis and pit stop on the Djesse journey before Djesse Volume 4 comes out. So at some point in 2021. I'm going to leave the Spotify playlist in the description and in the comment section. Give it a listen, give me your thoughts, and thank you so much for your time. Bitch. No. That was so stupid.